Hello! Happy Sunday once again to every one of you. I'm really sorry we're coming a bit late, just tiny bit late. Today I'm so excited. Honestly, I don't even know what to say. You can see how excitement is just all over me. I'm super excited. We've got a lot to cover. If you're with me, please let me know in the comment section that you're here with me. Just try as much as you can to say, I'm here, I'm excited to be here, and I will just say hello to you. So let me know who is here with me, please. So I can welcome every one of you. If you're here with me, let me know. If you're here with me, let me know. But without further ado, I'm just gonna start straight away because we've got a lot of things to cover. We've got so many things to cover. Um, so we're gonna start. So I'm just gonna bring our guest. So this person, he has been here before and he did so well that honestly he had to come back. There was no two ways about it. He had to come back. So we've got our wonderful, amazing, fantastic. Let me just give you his CV, has in his resume. Let me introduce him specially. He is a father. He is a man. That's the most important one. He's a man because he's here to answer so many questions. He is a mentor, relationship coach. If he comes on if you invite him for any program and he holds the mic, honestly, in fact, let me not say too much. Let me just bring him on. Quickly bring Aima on. He's our fantastic friend, Aima Adeleye. Let me bring him on. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
Good. Thank you very much for having me. That's a wonderful introduction, Precious. But yeah, my head just like, but yeah, thank you.
That's fine. Guys, if you're hearing us, let us know that you're hearing us. Let us know that everything is fine. If you're not, let us know as well so we can make sure everything is fine. So we've got our wonderful friend Ima. Ima is here and we're going to start because Ima has got so many questions. Today we are talking about what do men really want? Because we need to understand what men really want. What do they really want? And we need to hear from a man to be able to understand what men really want, right? So I'm going to start straight away, Ima. Are you ready?
Yeah. Go for
Oh,
it.
okay, right. So I'm going to start with ego, right? Is it ego or ego?
Ego.
Ego, yes, the ego. There's a quote that says, ego, that spells ego, right? Three-letter words that holds you back from saying things your heart is dying to say. Things like, I love you, I miss you, and the big one, I'm sorry. So based on this quote, right, what exactly? Because even as a young child, I've always heard about this ego. Every man has this thing. Every man has this ego and all that. Can you please explain to us what is this man's ego? And
Um,
if you can explain it as well, so women will understand. And please, if you're a man on joining us, if you're a man with us, please can you also type on the comment section what you think a man's ego is? Why Amma is explaining it to us. Fire on.
it's okay. It's a difficult one to explain. As I'll tell you why. Because even the psychologists, they're still trying to define what that means and what it looks like. What I can tell you is that ego, as a word in itself, it's derived from the Latin word that means I. So when you say I, self, ego, that's where it comes from. So the Latin word I is translated to mean this ego thing we talk about. It encapsulates what the expectation from a man is from the society. So expectation from the society as well as what the man wants to do in himself. These are the things that cover that big word ego. I mean, it's such an interesting thing. Someone once said that a man's ego is as fragile as a woman's heart. That's an interesting comment as well. And I think someone else said relationships don't die a natural death. They are murdered and killed by ego ignorance, attitudes, behavioral issues.
True.
But ego is the thing that makes you you. You don't want to back down. Is that self pride coupled with what the society expects from you as a man. That is what the man's ego is. So it encapsulates all those things I've mentioned.
Wow. So basically, let me just get myself back on. So basically, what you're saying is that the man's ego is just, would you say it's pride?
I would say it's self pride. It's the is that thing that you don't want to back down, neither do you want to calm down, so to speak. I don't want to say it's pride, outright like that. It's that self pride. Like I said, it has to do with yourself. I'll tell you a story. So back in the day, many, many years ago, this is my personal experience. Someone insulted me in secondary school. And then this person was a girl. She insulted me and walked away. Now, as soon as she walked away, all the boys around that area started shouting, you're going to let this, get pride. Sorry, permission to, for those of you who are not from Nigeria, that's pidgin English. Don't you have pride? Don't you have pride? Are you going to let them walk over you? So when I heard that, I just stood up and wanted to take action. I'm not going to finish that story. I'll just leave it on a cliffhanger. Not tell you what happened after that. But the reason I brought up that story is to let you know that it's that thing in a man that wants the man wants to meet up with societal expectations of what society believes masculinity should look like. And then there's a balance in the mind of man that he wants to meet up with himself, what he desires, what he desires to be like. So it encapsulates all those things. It's more than saying it's pride, it's more than saying it's pride. It's very fragile. It has to do with the self of a man.
And I guess I would say it's actually, and it's strictly a man thing, not a man or a woman thing.
No. So yeah, everyone has ego. So now it is stereotypical to say, right, okay, it's just men that have ego. I know for many years, everyone has believed that men, okay, they've got ego, but even ladies as well, human beings, everyone has got this ego, this self-awareness, this self-carriage of who they expect to be and who they expect people to see them as. So it's not just a man thing, it's also is a woman thing as well.
Okay.
But maybe not as pronounced psychologically as the man. But I have also met women who've got strong egos.
Okay.
It's like I said, it's easy to poke and break and touch ego because it's easy to get a person offended by hurting their ego.
Right. Okay. We're going to quickly run because we've got so much to cover. But guys, if you're joining us and you're a guy, women are here to learn. Women are, in fact, most of them are with their notes. So if you want to contribute on the comment section as well, that would be amazing because women are going to be reading your comments and people are going to come back to watch this. So we're going to quickly run. The next question is the biggest one I've ever heard. Ever being a girl, being married, and now I have kids is respect.
Okay.
I've heard it so many times that I say men cannot do without respect. Can you just make us understand what is it about respect?
Okay, so once again, you will hear this a lot from me over the course of this program, and viewers, you need to understand that some of the things we say are very stereotypical because we don't necessarily have the stats to sort of back it up and say, this is what we mean. But from the question you just asked, it is true that a man, should I say deserves? Yeah, every human being deserves respect. But a man demands it, he wants it and he asks for it. that is not a lie. I absolutely agree with you, but it's more or less his desire to be appreciated. So from a man's perspective, he wants to be in that space where he is appreciated by his spouse or by his partner, is appreciated by his children. Okay, that sense of appreciation, links into his self-worth. Okay, and many people say that's what makes the man a man. So if you don't give him that appreciation or give him that acknowledgement that he desires and craves, then it will very well look like you're stepping on his toes. So yeah, men require that. They sort of, some men demand it, but I would say it's that acknowledgement, that sense of acknowledgement, and then these sort of things can be driven in the society by different things. I would say, in a way, culture, depending on where you're from, culture drives it as well. In parts of Africa, that the woman is commanded to, respect, lie on the floor for her husband. Okay, so culture demands it and drives it. That's one aspect. Then another aspect is the fact that society as well, somehow wants the man to take that step or sit on that seat. But to your question, answering it directly, yes, a man will demand this, and it is just having to do with acknowledging who this man is, acknowledging what he's done. I think that's the way I would look at it. Not necessarily, you've got to respect me now. Although some men may do that, but beyond that is acknowledging the man, to say, right, okay. I know somebody might be asking, what does it mean? Acknowledge, appreciation. You've done this, thank you, and that encourages the man.
Okay.
I don't know. Does that answer the question?
No, there are so many questions that are coming behind this respect, and because respect is a very big thing. Because even when I posted this program on Facebook and I did like a vote to say, what can a man not do without? Somebody wrote respect. So respect is one big thing that even when you hear other men speak, they say, she doesn't respect me. My wife, even let's say something else happens, right? They just say she doesn't respect me. Or the way she did this thing, she doesn't respect me. Everything boils down to respect.
See, the thing about it you've got to understand is that respect in itself stokes the ego. So it ties back down to the ego. Okay, so when when they are saying you don't respect, when a man says you don't respect me, it may not very well be that you've disrespected him in the sense of the word disrespect. It may mean that there's something you've done, said, or behaved or acted that doesn't go right down well with what he's expecting to see. So he will go right out and say, you don't respect me, because that is stoking his ego. It's tying back to the ego.
So based on what you've just said now, so how can a woman be able to disagree with her spouse or boyfriend or a man without it being termed as disrespectful? Especially that disagreement is the fact that she doesn't have the same view as you have. So how can a woman do this carefully without being termed as disrespectful?
Okay, it's an interesting question, because at the same time, you don't want to be seen as a man who everyone is walking on eggshells around. Everyone doesn't want to offend you by saying something. So one thing I would say, and this is to men as well as women, guys, don't take yourself too seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. I mean, all of us were born naked, precious. Everybody, we will die. We will die and go without the clothes. But don't take yourself too seriously. So having said that, you need to find a way to communicate. Find your style, find your voice within that relationship. And the thing about communication is that it can vary for different types of relationships. So what works in one relationship may not work in another relationship, and may not work in a third relationship. So each relationship needs to find its voice with respect to communication. And the woman who will disagree with her husband has to find her voice within the confines of how she communicates with a man. Okay, and communication is big. It's what for me, is 99% of a relationship. So find your voice. Okay, and when you find your voice, increase the mic, increase the volume, so that it can be good communication. So when I say find your voice, I mean find the way and manner to talk to your spouse or partner, and find, the spouse or partner should find a way to be able to respond back and do your communication within the confines of what you've defined. So it has to be 100% honest. You've got to 100% honest, and you've got to teach yourself. I know, Precious, this is going to sound really, really flimsy, but it's very important. We need to teach ourselves to listen. Okay, I don't mean to come at the women folk, okay, but some people say that women find it more difficult to listen than men, and then the women say men, they listen and then they go out and do what's in their mind. But regardless, man or woman, whoever you are, you need to develop your listening skills. One of the things that helped me is the fact that, I learned that someone said, there's a quote, you don't listen to respond, you listen to understand, and only respond once you've understood. Okay, so you need to listen to understand. So you're talking to a person, you're talking to your partner, and you just want to respond, quack, 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 quick, 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 and then turn it into a fight or something. But you listen to understand. Slow down, listen, understand the person, and be objective in your communication as well. Objectivity needs to come into play. And then your speech, how do you speak? How do you communicate? How do you, do you do it? Is it high pitch? Studies have shown that your tone of voice is mirrored by the person you're speaking with. So if I'm talking to you now, Precious, and I'm shouting at you at the top of my voice, subconsciously you begin to shout as well. Studies have shown. So if you say we shout a lot, as men, maybe it's because we are mirroring who is talking to us, but people need to find their voice within the confines of how they define communication. Like I said,
I'm gonna say something there, because I'm not here to speak up for women. It's not an argument, right? But as much as I can, I want to make it balanced. There are instances where a woman is upset because of what her husband or her boyfriend, fiancé or partner has done. And this woman, obviously, when you're upset, you react. Reaction can be in different ways depending on the gravity of the offense, isn't it? And now you find out that there are some men that when this woman reacts, right, they don't look at why she's reacting. What have I done that this woman is reacting? What they look at is the way she reacted. The way she reacted becomes the problem.
Why.
The reason she reacted is no longer the problem. So this makes some women feel like, if I talk, there's a problem. If I don't talk, there's no problem. So how do I express myself? So the question is, how can women express themselves when they are angry about something, when they're upset about something, without men, so that men can be able to understand, look, I'm upset with you. Forget about my action. Focus on what the problem is, why I'm upset.
This is a very, very good question, Precious, but there is no one right answer to this question. There's no one right answer. It will vary from person to person. But one thing that is right across the board is a person, you as an individual, man, woman, whoever you are responsible for your actions. So everyone is responsible for their actions. Okay, now if you're the type that gets angry and you scream at the top of your voice, okay, you screamed. Okay, if you're the one who gets angry and you find something to throw at someone, you are the one who is responsible for that. So everyone across the board is responsible for their action. Now, moving on from there, like I said, a couple will need to find their voice in communication. It takes maturity to put away all the the disco or the gymnastics of a person's reaction. It takes maturity to put that away, to see the actual reason why they're upset. Now, the truth about it is, and if we are being honest, the reason why men will react that way is because the reaction from the woman to what the man has done is, hitting on his own self-worth. He feels insulted and disrespected. So that turns the hair on the back of his head up and he wants to attack back. So whatever he has done, he's not looking at that. He's only looking at how the woman is reacting to this. So my advice to women and to men as well is, if you will need to learn how to separate a person, from the issue. If you want to focus on the issue, you focus on the issue. This is what has happened and this is what needs to be done. There has to be that clarity of message across both sides, so that a man will understand where he's gone wrong and the woman will understand how to position it to the man, and vice versa as well. The woman will understand where she's gone wrong, because, Precious, if we are honest, there are men who find themselves in relationship and marriages where they cannot tell their wives what they've done wrong. They've been lying to their wives for 10 years that, you are the queen of my heart, everything is fine with, because they cannot bring themselves to the position where they can say, this is what I think and that's what I think. We cannot say what we think because we are afraid of reaction, and also across the fence. But my advice, is couples need to find their voice within the confines of how they define communication, to be able to be good at it and have effective communication, one person to the other. You're 100% honest as you can be, and there is no you're not saying what you're saying to hurt anyone. There is sincerity, and that can only be born out of love.
Right.
Let me stop there. No, the way you are looking at me,
I
there
have
are many questions.
I have a lot of questions to ask you. So just to speak to our audience, guys, if you're listening, please drop your questions. If you've got any questions on the comment section, not just questions, if you've got contributions, if you've got things that, okay, this is your point of view, or this is your opinion, we want you to drop it on the comment section as well. Because like I said, women are going to be coming back to watch this video, and they would want to see what you all have said. If you're watching as well, please share this video, because we want as many men as possible to come on and tell us what they want. And we want women to come and listen to what men have to say, because it's very rare opportunity that we have that a man is actually coming to explain to us in a man's perspective what they want. So share on your Facebook, share to your WhatsApp group, your friends, share, so we'll get as many people as possible. Now, coming on to respect, right? Because communication, because we've been talking about communication. There are some men that don't talk too much, right? The only time they talk is when it's a topic of interest, like sports. And there are some women that don't enjoy sports, but because their spouses or their partners love to talk about sports, they have to learn how to talk about sports. And there are some men that can talk too much. Like, honestly, it's like extreme of both sides. Now the question is, how can you first of all make us understand communication from a man's perspective, and how can a woman be able to communicate with, for example, there was a program that they did snooker. Snooker has been on championship. I don't like snooker. Not because I don't like it, it's too boring, right? And my husband loves it. I try as much as I can to chat with him about the snooker, but my dear, it's hard. So how am I going to be able to communicate with my husband, or be able to communicate with our partners as women, even if we know it's boring and it's not really our thing, but we don't also want to upset you as a man? So how do we balance it not to upset you in a relationship?
Interesting question again. Communication in itself is a two-way street. So it's ingrained in the very word communication, which means relationship between two sides. So it's a two-way street. There has to be understanding for communication to be effective. So there is communication, and then there is effective communication. What makes effective communication is the understanding of both sides on the matter on ground. So there's understanding, and then there is sincerity and honesty. That also makes for effective communications. And then there is clarity as well. So these are the, bedrock for effective communication. Now, from a man's perspective, and this is very interesting, um, you don't want someone that goes, talks too much, like you said, and at the same time, you don't want a man who doesn't say anything or says too little. Now, you want a balance. But like I said, different strokes for different folks. But what you will get is three different types of men. You will get a type of man who doesn't say anything at all. So that's on that one class, who, rarely speaks. um, uh, and you may have come across some of those men, and some of us may be married to those. Some of the women here may be married to some of those men who rarely speak. They don't speak at all, only as at when important. Now, if you want to take that a step deeper, you can investigate what drives that kind of behavior. But I will come to that later. Now, there's a first class of men who rarely speak. There is a second class of men who speak only when they will tell you on a need to know basis. So they leverage what you need to know vis-a-vis the question you're asking, and then they will answer that question on a need to know basis. And they don't say all, but they say just enough. And then there's a third class of man who says everything. His mouth is basically a pipe, and everything just goes out and goes to the woman. So these are the three classes of men you will find. What drives communication internally? You can also say, things like temperament can drive communication. Culture can also drive communication. So take from, if you're from Africa, particularly maybe from Nigeria, I say particularly because I'm from Nigeria, you find out there are some stereotypical, some cultural based stereotypes where, the man is not expected to speak too much. He's the provider and the shoulder pad is up. He's not expected to speak too much. He just gives one word answers, and that's the expectation of man. So he has grown up seeing his father like that, and then he's grown up, understanding that that's the way a man should be. And then, when he gets to his own home, he doesn't talk that much. Okay. Another thing that drives it could be, apart from culture, temperament. Four basic temperaments. Sanguines, melancholic, phlegmatics, and then the cholerics.
Yeah.
You find out that someone who is melancholic doesn't really talk too much. A choleric will talk, but they're quite bossy with what they say. A sanguine will shout from the rooftops to anyone who cares to listen because they're easygoing. A phlegmatic is one who will give calculated responses. So, like I said, communication is also driven by temperament. Now, having said all this, okay, this is just the background to your question. Having said all this, we should learn, men, women, within, like I said, within the finding of your voice, you need to learn how to leverage that across to say, right, okay, I'm speaking, and I'm the kind of person who, you agree, spouse to spouse, agree. I want to know everything. I'm the kind of person who wants to know everything, or I want to know just a little. Just let me know what I need to know. So you define what that looks like, and that the man will operate within what has been defined, and then he will, tell all, or tell, just what's need to be known, or maybe not tell anything at all. But all that is driven, like I said, you need to understand the temperament of the person you're dealing with, how to communicate with this person, the fact that they are not speaking. Is it because they don't know how to? So there has to be a lot of work done. There is no one size fits all. Okay, everyone in every relationship has to find their own voice to be able to drive this. I hope it's making sense. Is it?
Yes, it is actually. Somebody just asked a question, and the person said, my question is, how do you get a man speak your love language when he feels it is not his love language, and you will only be forcing him to do so?
So this is a very interesting question. I'm saying that because the day before yesterday, my wife and on live television, my wife and myself,
Yeah.
my wife and I were talking about it. So her question to me, which is similar to this question, was if a man has his own love language and the wife has her own love language, should the man speak to his wife his love language, or should he speak to his wife her love language? At first, I heard the question. I said both. I said both because I didn't want to drag it too much. Well, if my wife is listening, but anyway, the thing about it is this: you speak the love language of the person who has the love language. So if the wife has a love language, if my wife has a love language, to communicate to her, I have to speak her love language. If I speak mine, she may not get it. Okay, so everything I do out of love. Can I give practical examples?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. That's what we want.
So for me personally, my one of my love languages is not buying gifts doesn't mean anything to me. That doesn't mean, viewers, if you are listening and you want to buy me a gift, buy the gift. Okay, let me decide what. Anyway, so personally, it doesn't mean anything to me, gifts and all that stuff. But one of my wife's love language is, sign of affection, getting gifts and all that. So when we first got married, I will struggle. My sister Precious, you know what that word struggle means? I will struggle. I will go out, I will get a bag, go into one of these shops over here and just get a bag, get the very first bag I see, because it's torture. Shopping is torture for myself. And all the brothers here who are here, the men who feel that way, let us know that in the comment section. But for me, shopping is torture. If you want to kill me slowly, take me shopping. And then I will get the first bag and bring it home, and for me, it's just to get up and do that was a big task. Doing it, I would not do it well. And then getting home, the response I will get is, and my wife, God bless her, she understands. She's like, right, okay, it's the thought behind it that matters, the attitude behind it, and all that sort of thing. And I've grown since then, to begin to understand, her love language and how to use it to communicate to her. But from the example, you could see there was a discrepancy. Now, because it didn't mean anything to me, I didn't treat it with so much importance because it didn't mean anything to me. And that's what you will get in your marriages or your relationships. You will get an imbalance sometimes when something that means so much to the woman doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean jack to the man. It doesn't mean anything at all. Now, the struggle or the challenge is how to leverage, how do we balance it out? And to this question, you need to be able to speak the language of the person you are trying to reach, the love language of the person you are trying to reach. Because if you speak yours, they will miss it.
I need to say something. Somebody just posted something that makes so much sense. When all these I've been talking, I've just been thinking, I wish you know what is going on in my mind. The person said, let me just be on the broadcast. He says, when you say you have issue with buying gifts, right? So many men have that problem, and this lady has just given you a tip. She said, just give us spending money and give us a day off from the chores so we can go shopping. Sorry, it's gone off. So we can go, let me bring it up. So we can go for a shopping trip and have coffee and cake. So just give her the money and that's it. So that's it.
Okay, like I said, yeah, no, it's not one size fits all. See, yes, a man can do that. Someone was telling me the other day how he gave his card, his bank card to his wife and gave her the PIN and told her to go out and have a wonderful day, And I told him, let's talk later in the evening when his wife comes back, because by then he will not be feeling okay. By the time he has seen what has gone out of the account. But what this person has just said, it works for her. And men, in as much as we want to feel appreciated, we should also know that the women also want to feel appreciated as well. There has to be that balance. Now, I know we will touch it in, as we go along the question.
Absolutely.
But if you permit me to just mention something very, very quickly. Yeah, sometimes culture dictates the way a man acts in the home For instance, his response to looking after the children in the house. I met a person who said to me, a friend's husband never touches the children, never gets them ready for school or for bed or for anything, because they view it as the woman's job to do. So that's driven by culture. So one of the love languages, that a man could use in that instance is to take all that responsibility and maybe give the wife a day off. I know some women will come back at me and say, why are you talking about giving the wife a day off? Is it the wife's job to do that? Giving a day off means it's her job. What I mean is, if there is that divide, okay, there's that, responsibility sharing as a couple, and there's that understanding to help when there is need for help, it will go a long way. And yes, there's nothing wrong in giving your wife your bank card. Just transfer everything else from there before you give her the I'm just joking.
We're gonna quickly run because we have a lot, honestly, we have a lot to cover, right? We're gonna move to another very, very important aspect that women want to hear, right? And that's intimacy, right?
Okay.
For the sake of YouTube, we're not gonna call it the real thing. So we're gonna call it intimacy, right? What do men want from women in terms of intimacy? And there's another conflicting question, which with time I'm probably going to talk about it on when I'm going to do something for myself, is early morning intimacy and night intimacy. Ladies, if you're here, you're listening to what I'm saying and you can relate to what I'm saying, please come and support me on the comment section. So Aima, what would you say to Ross? Two questions is, please explain to us how we can be better when it comes to intimacy. And secondly, what is this thing about? There are some men that is when their spouse want to sleep, that's when they want to do. And there are some women that is when their man is deeply asleep, that's when they want to do. That's night and morning. So how can you actually balance this whole early morning and late night intimacy?
Okay. So my challenge in answering this question is the fact that I cannot call it what it is because of YouTube.
No, call it what it is. Call it what it is. It's fine.
Okay.
Call it what it is.
So everyone, there's a stat that I found out the other day that was quite shocking, but I believe it has an element of truth. And the average man thinks about sex once every 7 seconds. Okay, I saw that. Precious, your face.
No, I'm just taking it in.
The average man thinks about sex once every 7 seconds. Okay. Some people thought that was a myth when they first heard it, and there's some studies were done to sort of debunk this thing. And a particular study that really interested me when I was doing my research was one that was done in America. Just to cut a whole long story short, they did a sample size, and they found out that it's not really once every second, but maybe once in an hour, but then it will vary depending on the type of person, and the relationship. So regardless of where you look at it, you need to understand that sex is on the man's mind. It is on the man's mind. At least it will cross his mind once a day, at the very least. Okay, at the very, very minimum. And let's leave how many times it does for the maximum, because let's leave that one. Leave the umbrella open. Now, the thing about it is this: because it crosses his mind, he wants to, he wants to do it. He wants to make love. He wants to have sex. Intimacy is important for him. For a man, it is important for the man. That in itself may be stereotypical, because some women may feel that way more than the man. So two questions you've asked me. How do we deal with this? First and foremost, we need to accept it. Accept the fact that your spouse likes sex. You're a woman, accept the fact that your husband likes it, or you're a man and you've seen that your wives like it. Your wives accept the fact that your partner likes it. Okay, just accept it. And beyond accepting it, you've got to, participate in it. You've got to indulge in it. You've got to explore. You've got to learn together. You've got to spice it up together. Now, that in itself will bring. And then you were asking, what can you do to make it, sort of interesting? If you get on a journey with your wife or get in on a journey with your partner and say, right, okay, we've got to make this interesting. I'm a Christian. My Bible tells me that the marriage bed is undefiled. So as a man who's got your partner, you've got your wife, get in your marriage bed, spice your love life up, okay? Indulge in it, love it, get to do it, enjoy it. Okay, enjoy it, be deliberate about it, make plans towards it. Okay, you could drop messages, and from a woman's perspective, it's not just one, like the Americans will say, one bam, thank you ma'am, in and out, done. From a woman's perspective, if the experience, the totality of the experience, dropping the messages while she's at work, and then coming back home and maybe a kiss to the ear or whatever, or a hug from the back, spice it up. Don't just get in there like a traditional man that some people are. Spice it up, get her to love it, because when she loves it, you will love it. Trust me. And that's all some men need to do to enjoy their sex life. And the other question around balancing the morning versus evening, my advice there is just find what works for you as a couple. Now, biologically or physically, the man may be more triggered in the morning because of the way his systems work. He may be more triggered in the morning. Some men have debunked that to say they feel, more active at night. But there's no one size fits all. Once again, find what works for you. And then there has to be communication about it. Now, if as a woman, you're telling your husband or your spouse, or your partner, you're saying, I don't want to do no sex for you today. Don't leave it hanging. Don't leave it hanging. You can't do it today. When are you going to be able to do it? Do you get what I mean? Because to him, denying him of that is, some men don't, they won't take that as it's against their ego. They will feel offended, they will feel slighted, it will lead to another thing, and vice versa as well. I used to think that it was only the women that denied men of sex, until I listened to someone sometime who was explaining that they found out from studies that men also deny women of sex as well. So it's not just a one-way street. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is, don't use that as a weapon against your spouse, because that in itself brings up more problems. Okay, so to answer your question and reiterate what I've just said, you asked me two questions. How do you balance morning versus evening? My answer to that is find what works for you as a couple, morning or evening. If you're still in the process of finding it, let there be communication. Okay, I can't do it this morning. Let's look forward to it in the evening. This and this and this and this and this is what I'm going to do to you. When I get you, I'm going to do this and this. It puts them in the mood. Right. And then second question, Precious, wait first, I'm coming. Second question you asked me was around what the woman can do to enjoy this thing called sex. Now, my advice is accept the fact that the man loves it or the woman loves it. Indulge in it, be deliberate about it, and enjoy it. Enjoy it because it's meant to be enjoyed.
Right. Just following from what you just said, enjoy it. Right? So if the woman, let's say 20 minutes prior to the man wanting to have sex, or not just say 20 minutes, in the morning before they left for work, the man did something very, very not nice, right, to the woman. And throughout the day, the man did not communicate or say, hello, how are you? They come back home, probably the woman was just doing her face, and later in the evening, the man wants it, right? Would you say the woman should just, because men love it, and the woman, you should give it to him, would you say the woman should, okay, just do, and let me do? Or the woman should actually say, no, we need to talk about it? Because some men feel like whenever they want to have sex, that's when the woman wants to talk about everything they need to talk about. So should we wait until after sex, which if we wait, you're not going to get the best? Or should we talk about what needs to be talked about before sex?
So I've listened to so many people talk about this thing, and then some women have come up with a strategy where before they have sex, they have to ask the man what it is that they want. Now, you need to understand, first and foremost, we need to stop viewing sex as an event, in itself. Just go in, get it done, go out. Sex it doesn't start in the bedroom. It may start in the bedroom, but what I mean is it may not necessarily start from touching. It may start from a look. Okay, it may start from a text message or something. It may start from speaking the love language. A woman's love language might be acts of service. So you may help her tidy up her wardrobe or something, and that may be the start. So for her, she's already getting there, in her mind, in her head. So the question you've just dropped on my lap now, in terms of how do women deal with respect to issues resolution? How do they bring up what? Like I said before, like the couples have to find their voice in terms of communication. You've got to find your voice. You've got to find what works for you. Now, what's your motive bringing it up before you guys want to, have sex?
Because sex is let me bring myself back so that people can see me. Because sex is an emotional thing for women. Right? I don't know if it's an emotional thing for men because I'm not a man. But coming from a woman's perspective, sex is an emotional thing. If I'm not happy, I'm just going to sit down there like a log of wood, and you do what you want to do and you go. So that's why I need to emotionally be ready. And if I'm not emotionally ready, down there will not be ready. So that's how it works. So
it's true. It's true. I get you. And believe me, no man wants to have sex with a log of wood. Okay? So it is ruining the whole thing, both for the man and for the woman. And then it might lead to something else. Because the man might accuse you, okay, you are not here. Where are you? Who are you thinking of? I'm making love to, I'm having sex with you. You are thinking of somebody, and then, there's trust issues, and then it will lead to something, something that was very small will end up being very, very massive and might, lead to separation. But you make an absolute valid point in the sense that for a woman, sex in itself is emotional. Now, for a man, it's not necessarily emotional. Studies have shown that a man doesn't need to love a woman before having sex with. There doesn't need to be an emotional attachment. All a man needs to have sex is an erection. Okay? As long as he has an erection, he can have it. Some people even have it with themselves to start with. But then again, that's another talk for another day. But there doesn't need to be an emotional connection as it is with the woman. So the woman needs that to be able to function, to be able to get in there, but for the man, he may not need that. Now, for the woman, something that has happened might be on her mind that will prevent her from emotionally connecting and making the session a proper steamy one. Okay? Now, because she cannot connect, she will not enjoy it, and the man will not enjoy it. Now, what I would advise people to do is back to issues management, and issues resolution. You will need to resolve your issues as they crop up. Okay? A wise man once told me many years ago never to let an issue go in from today to the next day, because issues build up. Okay? So the advice there to women, okay, if there is something that is stopping you, something is playing on your mind and you cannot just get it go. And bear in mind that the man, from a man's perspective, he wants to also enjoy it. But one thing men don't tell you, they not only just want to enjoy it, they want you to enjoy it as well. A man is big on his feedback. Oh, give him that feedback. Give him that feedback in a good way, in a constructive way, not to hurt his ego or whatever. But the point is that the man wants the woman to also enjoy it. So if there is something that is, do it before, bring it up before you get home, or bring it up, resolve it. Don't let it come up just before you want to, you want to have sex. And it boils down to how you deal with issues and issues resolution in the home.
Right. So we're going to run, because these three ones are the ones that we needed to hammer. I needed to give you a lot of time. We're going to move quickly to mental health, right? One of the things I've come to understand growing up as a girl, I only saw my dad cry once in my whole, as I am now as an adult. I've only seen my dad cry once. And I know that mental health issue is a massive problem. Most men are suffering from mental health problem. And that's because I feel that most men bottle up their feelings, bottle up their emotions. Men are seen as they are not supposed to
strong
cry. Yeah. They are not supposed to cry. They are not supposed to like express themselves. So from a man's perspective, right? Can you make us women understand more about mental health and how we can support men in general to be able to not have this issue of mental health? Because recently, I don't know if you heard it in the news, in London, a man that stabbed his wife to death. It can only take mental health problem for a man that you love a woman and you decide to kill that woman. That's mental health issue, in my opinion. So how can women help and support men in terms of mental health?
There's another sad story of a wrestler back in the day, and you people who follow wrestling, men and women alike, who follow wrestling, will know about the wrestler called Chris Benoit, who killed his wife and his child, from this mental health thing. I was watching the documentary about it on Vice, and what they were saying is, when his friend died, it was a lot of load, on him and his health and his thinking. He didn't open up to anyone. He kept on working. He kept on doing what was expected of him. And then just one night he snapped and killed both his wife and his child. So, my people, mental health is very, very important. I cannot overemphasize that fact. Now, what we need to do is to work together as a team. You need to work together. And like I said, some of these things may sound stereotypical, because you will find out that in some relationships, it's the woman who is bottling things and not talking. Okay? So bear that in mind as you apply the balance. So it could either be the man or the woman. Now, you need to work together as a team. You need to talk to someone. Listen, real men cry. Okay? Real men cry. Okay, someone who is listening to me right now, please put it in the comment section for someone who will listen in the future. Real men cry. Real men cry. Now, there is no, like I said, the ego of a man partly defined by the society, what the society expects to see in a man, such that they begin to define masculinity to mean XYZ. So they have said, from a cultural perspective, as a man, you are not supposed to show your emotions. You should hold it in to your wife. Now, case by case basis, there may be some times where you need to just hold it, maintain yourself, and you go home and you cry. Okay? There may be times for that. But at all times, whatever happens, make sure that you are talking to somebody. And you are talking, I want to emphasize this, talk to your spouse. Wives, talk to your husband. Husband, talk to your wife. If you can't talk to her, do sign language, whatever you can, let her know. Let her know that there is something going on in your head. This is what I'm thinking about. Don't snap 7 days down the line for something that you picked up in your consciousness 30 days ago. Don't snap because of that, because you will leave her confused. Okay, she will begin to wonder, okay, what could I have done? Could I have done this? Could I have done that? Now, and that leads me to your question. What can the woman do to support the man? Now, one of the things she can do is to, first and foremost, let him know that you are there. Okay? Someone once said that, a man would like to be left alone. When you are asking, are you okay? And he says he's okay, he would like to be, left alone, But the thing about it is, let him know that you are there. If you need to talk, and sometimes, oh my God, sometimes it may not just be verbally that you let them know that you are there. A man may not need to hear your voice for that reassurance. It may be, maybe there is a hug, maybe there is some affectionate thoughts. You did something, around the house or something for them to make them know that you were thinking about what they are thinking about. Let them know that you care, because that will go a long way to helping the man with his mental health. And then from a man perspective, we also need to, communicate. If the wife is there and she has let you know that she is there, talk to her as you can, okay? Speak to her, let her know stuff that's going on in your head. Because sometimes the answers to our problem as men is in our wives. When we talk to them, they give us some of these solutions that we've never thought about or we never had the courage to do. Okay, but when you talk to them as that sounding board, we get the confidence and the courage to do that thing. There are many times I have found answers to what I've been struggling with in my wife by just talking to her. Okay, so use them, use your wives, talk to them, because the way God has blessed them in their brains to figure things out very quickly is beyond imagination. And in doing that, they will give you the support. So wives, to your question, precious, you need to show your husband that you're there. You need to let him know that he's not alone. You need to let him know that whatever he's going through is not alien to you or alien to, don't look at him strange, okay? Encourage him. Be the encourager. Be the encourager. Be your husband's number or your spouse's number one fan. Husbands, be your wife's number one fan. Wives, be your husband's number one fan. And in that encouraging, it helps with the mental health such that they are not holding anything inside. They feel confident and comfortable in their wives seeing them for who they are and in their husbands seeing them for who they are.
Right. Just to follow up on the mental health. Guys, I don't know if you're here, you're listening to what Aima is saying and you like it. Press the like button. That's the way we know that you're enjoying and you like it. And if you have any question, please drop it on the comment section as well. If you're watching this video, you've not subscribed to this channel, you're going to miss out on so many very, very important and interesting events like this or talk show like this. Moving on, Aima, on physical health. We've talked about mental health. I've only seen a few men that when they are sick, they take the phone, ring the doctor, and go get their heads themselves checked. Why is it that men find it very, very difficult to actually go to the hospital and get checked, whether they are unwell or they are well? And how can we women be able to support them now? Because people will say, oh, you have to talk to him. The more you talk to him, you start nagging. He may see you that you're nagging, or he may see you as someone that is disturbing him. Or do you want to take the phone and ring the GP on his behalf? No, I think it's disrespectful, or men will see it as disrespectful. So how can women support their spouses to go for their checkup for their physical health?
I think that's a very, very important question. But before I talk about that, I just want to make mention of some quick mental health issues. Now, whilst you were talking, my mind just flashed back to an incident. It's important, women, do not miss the signs. Women or men, whoever is, having issues or struggling, do not miss the signs, okay? Because anyone who has mental health issues will show you the signs, okay? It may be loss of appetite, it may be loss of interest in something that interests them a lot. And I'm bringing this up again because I read a story about a man who was, ended up committing suicide, okay, a day after his child's birthday. And then the woman was asking herself, where did I go wrong? Did I miss the signs? What did I look at? Do not miss the signs. Wives, never be too busy to look for those signs. Look, has he lost his appetite? Has he lost, the zest for life? The things that used to make him excited before, have they stopped making him excited? Is he not interested in life anymore? Look out for the signs. Don't miss the signs. Pay attention. Husbands, pay attention to the wives. Wives, pay attention. Because this mental health thing cannot be overemphasized, my people. Now, back to the question you asked me about physical health. It's also very important as well. I personally, I don't like hospital, and then my wife finds it a challenge. God bless her. I know she's listening. He finds it a challenge sometimes to get me to ring the GP or to, going for checkup and all that sort of thing. And then the question is, why do I feel that way? And this may mirror many other men out there. Okay, they feel, going to the, why do I want to go to the hospital? I'll be fine. They don't want their problem to be somebody else's problem. They don't want to, open up or get checked or being looked at. But with the increment or the increase we have seen recently in the health issues from a man's perspective, guys, you need to be proactive about your health. Somebody was telling me last week, a man dropped dead. He was in his 30s. He has 2 children. He's promising, young, beautiful wife, and 2 children just dropped dead, just like that. Okay, no announcement, and they find out that there was some heart issues there. Okay, now the thing about it is, when you go as a man, your wife will be here. God forbid, they will move on, with time. You will not be here to enjoy the fruit of your labor, so to speak. You need to get active and get proactive in getting yourself checked. Okay, now we need to debunk that mentality of, I don't want to go to the hospital, my problem. Now that is why the doctors are there. Okay, that's why God gave them that knowledge. And wives, what can you do to help your husbands in this situation? You could talk to them about it. You could get them to commit. I've never seen a set of people who get other people to commit as the wives. There's how you do it. You get your husband to commit to a certain thing. It could be, maybe a promise of something. You could use your negotiation skills. If you do this, this is what I will get done. It works really well for some men, especially when you promise them, the intimacy we were talking about in another way. You paint pictures around it. Somebody will be saying, listening to this, would you need to cajole them? Is it not their health? And trust me, you may be right. It is their health. Not you may be right. You are right. It's their health. Okay. But you need to be supportive as well. Okay. Be supportive. Talk to them about it. Use your negotiating skills to get them, to do it. And then, some women may go out of their way to make appointments for, with the doctors. And then I was watching in something the other day in one of these programs. A woman made an appointment for the husband. The man missed the appointment because he didn't want to go. And then he ended up, dying at the end of the day. But we need to support these men. We need to support them. You talk about it, you negotiate around it. Sometimes if you need paying for, you pay for it with the man's money, because when the money is tied down to it, he will want to go to it, because money is already involved and you've used the money. Okay, so that supports them, that helps them to come out of that stereotype of being the man and not wanting to get checked. Now, turning the other barrel of the shotgun to the men. Men, you need to get checked. When you turn 40, that 40-year MOT we do, particularly in the UK, you need to be proactive about it. Go to the doctors, let them do the check, okay, particularly around prostate, because I know you might have health talk for another day, Precious, but it's very important for the man to look after his own health, because we don't look after ourselves as men. We tend to think, yeah, the women need to do that, but gone are those days. Men, you need to take responsibility for it and be proactive about it.
Well, based on what you said, guys, if you're listening, I've got this announcement to make. I'm bringing a doctor on my show, and I'm going to announce what date and the time is been arranged, and the man is coming to talk about men's health. Like, it's just for men, right? It's something I've been thinking about. It's something I'm very passionate about based on my the things I've seen. So I had to bring someone to talk about just men's health. So the person is going to obviously talk about everything Ima has said as a professional. So thank you so much. Someone asked a question on the comment section. I'm just going to pop the question on the screen. And the person said, why do men insist birth control solely the woman's responsibility? The woman puts her body through different hormonal drugs, but the man will not explore male birth control. Ima, that's for you.
I personally, I know someone when I say I know someone, my friend, who actually went through, is it vasectomy? That's the
vasectomy
word.
for women? Yeah.
No, the one for men. I don't know what it's.
It
I
might
can't
be,
remember
it is
what it's called.
sterilized. I don't know. I can't tell you the real term now.
See
So
how we just see.
someone tell us on the comment section, what is male birth control? Is it the one that they take off the thing completely? Is that what you mean?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the one.
I will find it.
That's the one. I know someone who has done it. Okay, and this is the generation that we're living in. Men are now being more open to it. Okay, so once again, that question may be, you can see statistically that women do a
It's
lot
called
more
it's
birth
called vasectomy.
vasectomy.
Yes.
Okay, good. Women do a lot more than men, and maybe hence that question. But recently, in the world, there's been a rise in the number of men that are open to having that sort of thing. The reason why men don't do it, maybe the man is thinking, right, what if I want to have another child, or what if this doesn't work out for me? But then again, all the reasons are selfish to start with. It's selfish. If you're talking about birth control and you don't want any more children, there are many options. I think options, if the woman doesn't feel comfortable putting her body through that, and the man doesn't feel comfortable doing that to himself, there are other options you could explore. Okay. And men are, like I said, are being more open to it. So men, you would need to do some more research. Sometimes it's because they don't know. They don't know. A lot of men think that doing that will get them to lose their erection or their ability to have sex and that sort of thing. Okay. And then there has to be this person who did it recently was telling me he had to go through education. They had to tell him more about it. I think men need to be exposed to that sort of education to be able to be more open to it. So to your question, the person who's asked that question, there has to be some more work done for men to get them to be exposed to it, to know more about it, and the pros, the cons, know more about it to be able to be more open to it. And then secondly, if it's causing relationship issues, there are other options to explore. If the man doesn't want to do it and the woman doesn't feel she wants to do it, go explore some other options. It shouldn't cause too much issues.
Right. Okay, we're going to move to another very, very important area. It's finance.
Okay.
Money is the root of all evil, they said. and finance in a relationship, I heard that the two things that have actually caused divorce is finance and sex, isn't it? That's the two things I've heard that causes the most divorce. So make us understand, as a man, finance in a home, in a relationship, because I've seen where a woman is the one who earns higher, but you see a man, because he thinks that he is meant to be the head, well, he's the head of the family, he's meant to be the breadwinner, the provider. He takes on 2-3 jobs just to make sure that he's trying to meet up those responsibilities as the head of the family.
Provider.
Why the wife can actually do those things for the time being, until maybe he gets something bigger or something better. So how can you explain it to women for we to be able to understand the financial issues in a relationship?
So this question is very, very important, because like you said, it's a deal breaker for some relationships. Finance and sex. The thing about finance is, I don't know if you've seen, there's a funny question someone was asking. If there is, if you have £100 in your house, you have that £100 as a man, is the £100 your own, or is it for your wife? And then a lot of men answer that, their money is not their own. Their money is their wife's money, because they don't have, money. Stereotypically speaking, the man views finance from a strategic level, and the woman views it from a task level. The man is thinking, right, okay, these are the things we need to do. We need to start thinking 10 years down the line, or 5 years down the line, X, Y, Z. But then again, like I said, it's stereotypes. Some women may do this, and then some man may be thinking from a task level. Okay, but regardless of what views you have, when you come together as a couple, your views become holistic, such that there is a strategic aspect as well as a tactical aspect. Now, the best way to deal with finance is to deal with it as a couple. Now, finance, money has caused so many issues, so many issues. Now, you might want to, it might be stemming from greed, it might be stemming from need. Okay, maybe you want more, or there's some other thing you need to get, but money has caused so many issues. Now, like I said, the best way to deal with it is as a couple. Now, you need to have a conversation about finance. The best time to have a conversation about finance is before you get married. Now, a lot of people might be wondering, why is he saying that? Why can't, listen, before you get married, there is no commitment. Okay, you can say ho ha, 100%, being honest. You can say, this is what I expect, this is what I have, this is how we'll deal with it, and then you revisit that plan when you get married, and as you change jobs, or you change business, or as income begins to fluctuate up or down, because income will fluctuate. So the best way to deal with it is, as a couple, have a conversation, preferably before you get married. When you get married and it is still an issue, you need to have a conversation and deal with it as a couple. Now, there's no one size fits all. Okay, each marriage or each relationship will be within the confines of how both people deal with this matter. Now, some of the tips I will give are, for a couple that has two employed people. Okay, both man and woman are employed. How do you drive your traffic of money? Now, your bank account is how, is a tool that determines how the money is disbursed and spent. Okay, so you could use your bank account as a tool. There are many things you could do. You could have all the salaries go into one pot. Some men may not like that. Some women may not even like that. And then from that pot, you disburse into the bills fund, or into, spending. Or you could have the money going into two pots, and then you disburse. But whatever you do, let there be a conversation. Now, listen, precious. Now, some men may find it very, very, unhealthy if their wife earns more than them, because they feel threatened. To your point, I agree with that 100%. In fact, I have seen relationships where the woman earns more than the man, and the man does not like it. And because of that, he doesn't like the woman's job, and he doesn't want anything to do with the woman's job in terms of encouraging her to be better. Okay? So we have seen that. Now, to balance this is for men. Men, there is no reason to be jealous of what she is doing. There's no, and sometimes the women use it against the man, and that is where becomes an even bigger problem. Okay, they're using it against the man. They are talking down on him because they feel in a stronger place financially. Now, that in itself will break the home, because the man, he feels insulted, his ego has been trampled upon, he has no self-worth as a man because he feels he's not doing the provision. Okay, and then the woman is not only doing the provision, but she's also rubbing it in his face. Okay, so women desist from that. Men encourage her to be more successful. Okay, and like I said, you find your voice within your communication style. And finance, money is a big problem. The earlier you get hold of it and set up a structure to deal with it, the better. And it will take 100% honesty from both parties. And you need to change your mentality sometimes about money. Change your mentality. Money is just it's a tool. It's nothing. Some people are so rich that all they have is money, or rather, some people are so poor that all they have is money. Okay, so money is not everything. There's more to money. So we need to change our mindsets about that. Men, women alike, we need to change our mindsets about money. It is a tool. It is not the alpha and omega of your relationships. It is a tool. It's a means to an end. After that, it's nothing. We do not take money with us to the grave. Okay, so we need to change our mentality about that. I think that's very important in structuring finances. We need to change our mentality first and foremost. That will help us to be better planners, better spenders, or better savers, as the case may be. And then you will find out, I know, Precious, I'm talking too much, but you will find out in some relationships, the man is a better money manager than the woman, or the woman is a better money manager than the man. Whatever it is, work within your relationship. If the man manages it well, let him manage it. If it's the woman that manages it well, let her manage it. But find your balance.
I've got a question about care. Guys, if you're still with us, please let the like keep coming, your views. If you agree with what Aima is saying, please let us know in the comment section. Guys, as well, I would like you to encourage Aima on the comment section and say what your views are, just to support what he has said. From a woman's perspective, Aima, let's talk about care, right? When a man says, this woman cares so much about me, the first question is, what does it mean? And another thing about care is the fact that you find a man, before he gets into a serious relationship, he knows how to do stuff. Like, he is so good he's good in the kitchen, he's good everywhere. And by the time he gets into this serious relationship, the woman starts caring for him, and he now loses those skills that he already has. So how can we balance this thing? Because at the end of the day, women are trying to be caring and also hurting themselves, because the things that their guy was able to do before they got into this relationship, he can't do it anymore, right? But she has to care. So how can we balance caring and not taking the man's independence from him?
It's another very good question, Precious. Now, so it's an interesting dynamic, okay? Because the man loves to be looked after, okay? And then the woman also loves to look after. You get what I mean? So it is within the woman's nature to be nurturing. So the woman, the wife, the spouse, the woman as a woman, as a female, is a nurturer. Okay, so it is within her nature to be that way. The man may not necessarily be a nurturer, but he enjoys being nurtured and being cared for and being looked after. There has to be a healthy balance between both ends, like you said. Otherwise, what you will end up with is a man who then becomes a baby, who is entirely dependent on the woman to brush his teeth, serve his food, iron his clothes, fuel his tank, and send him to work. Okay, that's what you will end up with. A 20-something or 30-something, 40-something, 50-something-year-old big baby. Now there has to be that balance, or that's the picture you will end up with. How do you introduce such balance? From the women, you have to care so much that it wouldn't leave your man becoming so dependent on that care. Okay, and then the man, you need to, I need us to understand that it's not just the fact that the man loves being cared for, but the man also wants to be able to provide, and he also wants to care for the wife. So it's also on both sides. Okay, now there needs to be a definition of roles and responsibilities. The wife needs to understand what is within her remit to do. The husband needs to understand, both partners need to understand what is their role and responsibility. And if there are any crossovers, there have to be communication around that. So take, for example, if I'm struggling for an example, you have 2 cars in your home. You as a wife, you rely on your husband 100% to fuel your tank. He has to put fuel in the car. And one weekend, he forgets to do it. Okay? Now, things like that, has there been a communication around that for the man to know that that is his role and responsibility, or is he just doing that because he cares? Now, you need to understand that if he's doing that because he cares, okay, and then you've become comfortable that he is going to do it anyway, you need to find the balance. The way Precious is looking at me, viewers, if you're not seeing her, she's looking at me in a threatening manner. I think this example is touching her close to home. But the thing about it is, there has to be that balance in definition of roles and responsibilities. The man needs to know what his roles and responsibilities are. The woman needs to know. And if there is any crossover, okay, there needs to be some communication around it. Otherwise, you will end up with people who expect things to be done and they don't get done. And then you also end up with people who are overly dependent on this, that they such that they cannot do anything for themselves anymore. And you hear people saying, that woman, she has spoiled her husband, or that husband, he has spoiled his wife. They cannot. There has to be that balance. Talk about it. See, Precious, we need to be honest. Some couples don't talk. They don't talk. There's a lot of assumption. There's a lot of expectation mixed with the assumption, and because they don't talk, there is no balance, and when things don't happen, there's beef over what has not been agreed. Okay, you are angry because I did not do what you did not tell me to do. I will repeat it again. You are angry because I did not do what you did not tell me to do, and then you ask me, should I tell you to do it? And then my question back is, how would I know to do it? But you've been doing it before, so it's just a labyrinth, and then you keep going round and round in the cycle. We need to have that communication and definition of roles and responsibility that helps put a balance in what is expected or not expected with respect to care and dependency.
Right. Let's move faster to the next question. We want to talk about in-laws, Aima.
Okay.
In-laws. Would you be able to make us understand how men really want relationship in terms of in-laws, how they want it to be, right? That's the first question. Then the second question is that how can women support men who still depend on their parents, right? Who are still mommy boys or daddy boys? How do you want women, or how, from a man's perspective, how can we support if we are married to men that are still very, very tied to their parents without causing any problem or rivalry?
Right, okay. If you're looking at me and you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just writing, just making my notes, okay? Right, okay. So, I used to tell a joke. Now, if you go to a party or an event as a woman and you see somebody who is putting on exactly the same attire as you are putting on, what would be your reaction as a woman? And compared to a man, if a man goes to that same event and sees somebody who is putting on exactly the same attire, there will be a different reaction. Now, this in itself, once again, may be stereotypical, but what we've come to expect is, if a man goes to that sort of event, Precious, and he sees a man who is wearing exactly what he's wearing, the man will go, my guy, what's up? You where did you buy this one? Same place. And then they will end up taking a picture together or something. But if it's a woman, she will not be happy. Why is that girl putting on the same clothes as I am putting on? And then, they will end up buying 5 more different clothes because they don't want to go to the next party and sing. Now, why do I mention that sort of story? It just shows you how men want to deal with externalities. Once again, the response may be stereotypical, but what we've come to expect is that a man wants to, he's not shy with dealing with, relations or in-laws. He's not shy in having that conversation, so to speak. But what you will find out sometimes is that the man will only do as much as is needed, because they don't want to offend anybody. So they will do the barest minimum when it comes to reaching out and, dealing with in-laws. Now, my advice to dealing with in-laws is, wives, you could support your husbands, because what you will find out is that wives or partners who are listening, whose husbands or whose spouses never contact their in-laws or never deal with their in-laws, okay, you will need to support that relationship. You will need to talk about it, Okay, how do we proactively, make our presence felt in the lives of our in-laws? And when we're talking about in-laws, I'm talking about the parents, yeah, not just, yeah,
Yeah,
parents, in-laws.
parents.
How do we reach out to father-in-law, mother-in-law? How do we make sure that our presence are felt in their lives? So we need to talk about it. You will need to support your husband in agreeing the strategy and then also carrying it out. And then a terrible place to be is to be in a relationship where the husband is the one that is the mommy's boy, or the one that is the daddy's boy, always going back. Like I said before, I'm a Christian, and one of the passages in scripture, God was talking in Genesis. He says, "For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife." So there's a leaving, and then there's a cleaving. So the expectation is that the man will leave, and then he will cleave to his wife, and they will become one flesh. So that's the expectation. It's dangerous for a man who is always going back, always going back. Now, how does a woman support her spouse that finds himself in this place? Now, you need to understand, precious, that some of these things may be done in their subconscious. They may not really know that that's what they are doing. Okay, so take for example, if they're the only children, or that the only boys. Okay, so you find only sons wanting to go back, to mommy, or only child wanting to go back, and bringing their parents back into their relationship or back to their marriage. So what should you do as a woman? What should you do as a wife? First and foremost, find out why. Why do they always go back? Is it for advice? Is it for support? What is the reason? What kind of support? Is it monetary support? Is it emotional support? Because sometimes they're just going back to hear, encouragement. There's a reason. I guess that's my point. Find out why they are going back. And then when you find out why, you would need to be able to deal with it. Both parties need to talk about the reason why this man keeps going back. Because if you don't talk about it and you don't deal with it at its root cause, it will spring up a head somewhere else. Okay. Now, what I'm saying may be very hurtful to some people, because they feel, okay, it's my parents and it's sensitive. I can't just let them be. I need to check in on them. I need to do that. But are you doing that at the detriment of the happiness in your home? And wives also, you've got to be reasonable about it. Do not place your husband in a situation where he has to choose between you and his mom or his dad or his parents. Okay, some ladies might be saying, yes, he has to choose. What kind of man does not know his choice? That is a very, very terrible place to place a man, in a place where he has to choose. Now, he doesn't need to be in that position at all. Men, do not put yourself in that position at all. You need to balance your relationships in the sense that you are with your wife 100%, okay, and that relationship is going smoothly, and you deal with your parents as a unit. You deal with your parents as a unit. So if you're dealing with your wife's parents, you deal with your wife's parents with your wife. If you're dealing with your own parents, you deal with your own parents with your wife as a unit. And that helps a lot. It helps a lot. Precious, I hope I'm doing justice. The way you're just nodding your head.
Yeah, I'm just listening. No, because I'm taking notes as well, because this thing, there's nobody that has a very perfect relationship. Everyone has one thing or the other that the person is struggling with. So obviously when we get this kind of topic, talking about it and coming from a man, we have to listen, not interrupt, and take notes. That's what I'm doing. So there's I still have a lot of questions, but I think we need to round up because we've talked a lot. But there's something I want to talk about in terms of honesty in a relationship.
Okay.
Why is it that in a relationship, let's say in a married relationship, you guys are married, the man is okay to tell the girl or to tell the wife, oh, I did this, I did that, I did the other one, and the girl will take it as okay, that's fine, that was your past. But when the woman say, I did this, I did that, that was also her past, it doesn't go down well. So, and it becomes issue where there is problem with honesty. So, can you, from a man's perspective, explain to women what do men see as being honest in a relationship?
Now, what do men see as being honest in a relationship? It's a very good question. The thing about it is, honesty for a man, it ties back to his ego. If a man finds out that a woman is not being honest with him, it's beyond the act of dishonesty. So for him, he takes it as being disrespectful. We've talked about that one. He also takes it as a slight to his person. Okay, so I've opened up to her, and this is how she treats me. So it doesn't just end there with the act. Okay, it will interest you to know. I'm just going to digress a bit to be able to give more, more flesh to the question. It would interest you to know that statistics have shown that it is a lot more difficult for a man to forgive a woman who has been caught in infidelity than a woman to forgive the man. So it is more difficult for men to forgive women than it is for women to forgive men. Now, statistically, okay, it's shown that. And the reason for that is, for a man, dishonesty ties back to his ego. From a man's point of view, they're not able to compartmentalize their feelings. They're not able to say, let's rationalize it. This is what she was thinking. This is why she did that. The woman is able to do that. She's able to compartmentalize her feelings to say, right, okay, he did this. Oh, is it because of this that he did that? Or am I not doing this enough to make him to want to do that? So she, first and foremost, will compartmentalize her feelings and rationalize them to give the man some sort of benefit of that. But the man will not see it that way. In his mind, his mindset is trained in such a way that, it was difficult to open up. And once he opens up and he feels there's some dishonesty, he feels that he's getting slighted, he feels that he's getting insulted, he feels that his own ego is being trampled upon, he feels that she doesn't respect him, and because she doesn't respect him, he cannot stay in the relationship any longer, or he wants an escape route. So he gets really, really upset because he's not able to do all that good stuff that the wife is doing. And that's why he views dishonesty as not just dishonesty, it's something else. And that's why he views it as that. Now, what a man should do, and what you're talking about, stuff being in the past, it is healthy. When we talk to people in relationship, we tell them, it's healthy to talk about your past. Talk about your past before you get together, so that the one reason that makes a lot of sense is so that, there's no skeleton in the cupboard that the man doesn't know about. Okay, so if there's a skeleton, he finds a skeleton 10 years down the line, he's not like, oh wow, you didn't tell me about this, it's a surprise. So the advice to intending, couples or couples who are intending to be couples, both mean the same thing. You need to, talk about your past. Talk about your past, man, woman, it doesn't matter. Talk about your past. Let them know.
Can I just interject there for a minute? Do you not think that for a woman, from a woman's perspective now, do you not think that if I talk about my past, first of all, I have to think about this guy I'm telling my past, is he mature enough to be able to take in what I'm going to be saying, right? Because before I tell you my past, I have to be very comfortable with you. I'll give you an example. There are things I and my husband share. We talk about now, we just laugh. I don't think we can talk about it when we're a year or 2 year old in marriage, right? So in my own opinion, I think that first of all, share the things that are necessary to be shared. Then wait for your relationship to be mature, to be able to share things that your spouse can take. Because if I start sharing everything in my past, that guy may run away. So that's
Valid
just
point.
me. Yeah.
Listen, absolutely valid point. Yeah, but the thing is, if you're waiting for you to be now, what is maturity? Who defines maturity at the end of the day? Because you find a couple who's been married 20 years, they're still having squabbles and issues, and people who've been married 2 years are absolutely fine and they're doing okay. Okay, there is no definition of what a matured, it's nothing out there. It's how you work it in your marriage within the confines of your communication. It's how you work it in your marriage. Now, if you withhold information with the mentality of sharing it in the future, but you are withholding it now, you are opening yourself up for scrutiny in the future. If you feel right, okay, he's not matured enough to deal with it now. Maybe the maturity is two-sided. Maybe you are not matured to, relate the information now. I guess what we need to do is find a balance. You need to find a balance. You need to let your partner know, okay, listen, regardless of what you've done, if they love you, they would stay. Before you're talking about commitment, if they love you, they would stay. They would say, somebody, you can't just say, we're talking about your past, and then somebody opens up and say, for example, I don't know, I'm struggling for an example. I don't know, give you an example, and then you think, right, okay, I'm going to walk out on this person because they've done this thing 20 years ago. No, it doesn't make any sense. That man is not a man. He's not a real man. He's not ready. He's not ready. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's not ready to bear the brunt of a father, or bear the brunt. It's not ready. Okay? But at the same time, we need to find the balance. Men, you need to be matured enough to, listen. And then women as well. And there's something we call body count. People talking about body count before they get married with respect to how many people they've been with sexually. Okay? You need to be able to share these things before you get, into a committed relationship or a marriage with this person you're talking to. If you don't share and talk about it, precious, I feel that the risk you run is in the future, something comes up and then you don't have any legs to stand on. Now, whilst your point is also valid in the sense that you get matured over time by the way you've related to your wife or related to your husband, and then there are things that you can now feel more comfortable sharing, okay? And that in itself is absolutely valid. But let's not use that as an excuse to wait till we get there before we do what we should do now. Because if you do that, you end up confusing the man, because the man's head is like, wow, where is that coming from? Okay? Because they want to deal with it there and then, okay? The woman, maybe not so much, but the man, that's what he'll be thinking about. But to your point, it is brilliant for there to be a balance. If there is no balance, okay, we might end up, having a broken, relationship or somewhere in the future.
Wow, guys, are you here with me? Honestly, today I'm just listening and listening. I just have to listen and take as much as possible. In conclusion, right, guys, just before you go, I need to make an announcement for the next talk show. Our next show is coming up. It's going to be on Saturday, and we're inviting Pastor Shola. I don't know if you guys know Pastor Shola, but if you go on Facebook and just Google and just type Pastor Shola, Pastor Shola is one. Let me not say anything. So Pastor Shola is coming next Saturday by 6 o'clock. The poster is going to be out. I'm going to be sending it as usual. Come with your question. Pastor Shola is a relationship expert and a coach. He has his own singles where he's hooking people up and doing things. It's going to be question and answer section with Pastor Shola, and it all boils down to marriage and relationship, and he's going to be talking about mostly why marriages are failing, especially for people that lives in the diaspora, why husbands are beginning to kill wives are beginning to do things, why things are going wrong basically in marriage. So Pastor Shola is coming next Saturday. Spread the news, share it so people will know Pastor Shola is coming. So that's the news, the news we've got for you guys, or the updates we've got for you guys. So Ima, in conclusion, what do men really want?
What do men really want?
Yes.
Okay. Ah.
If you can just
So
list, if you can just list those things that men cannot do without, that they really, really depend on, then you maybe women can go back and expand on it and practice it.
so a man wants you. A man wants you to love him, not just because of what he can do, of what he does, but because of who he is. A man really wants to be appreciated. Somebody called that respect. He wants to be appreciated, he wants to be acknowledged. A man does not want to be ignored. Do not ignore him. A man does not want to be ignored. He wants to be the center. He wants to be acknowledged. He wants to know that that he is the one in your life, so to speak. He wants you to also love yourself. A man wants you to do well as his wife or as his spouse. He wants his partner to do well. He wants he wants to he wants people he wants to be proud of you and of his family. A man wants he also wants his partner to accept him on a childlike level, because somebody once said that in every man there is a boy. Okay, there's a boy who likes to play. Okay, a man does not want that to be frowned upon. He doesn't want you to frown upon his playfulness, and always accuse him of being playful. He doesn't want to be nagged about it. He wants that acceptance. A man wants somebody he can play with. He wants somebody he can play with. He wants you to, like I said, appreciate him, and then he wants intimacy as well.
I thought
You know,
I actually, all these
you're
are been
waiting.
saying, because even on the comment section, people are saying just one thing, respect, respect, and in my head, I'm thinking, okay, respect, that's easy now. But I know that there is one thing that men cannot
Mm.
do without. Even
It's
if you like respect this man from now till tomorrow, I'm
it's
waiting
it's
for you to
it's
hear it, to say it.
it's I want to end up with it so
Okay,
that you will
okay,
know
okay.
you will know how important it is. A man wants that intimacy, and then for a woman, the intimacy may not just be sex. Okay, it could be the whole experience around it. A man wants that intimacy, to know that she's there. Okay, and then the actual the act of sex as well. A man wants that as well. So like I said, men in themselves are not necessarily complicated.
Mm.
So sometimes we have the stereotypes in our head that men are from they're from a different planet. They don't listen. They don't do this. They don't do that. But there is a desire in every single man to be understood, to be respected, to be appreciated, to be treated as the center, to not be ignored. These are the things that a man wants, and these are the things that will drive him to become better, a better father, a better husband, a better person in general. And to everyone out there who is listening, a wife, a single person, every woman who is listening, and you've ever struggled with your man before, don't lose faith in your man. Don't lose faith. Don't lose faith. You need to, accept the fact that sometimes they will go through fluctuations. Sometimes they will find things tough. Be patient with them. Be patient with them. Talk to them, because in their hearts they want to do well and they want to make you proud of them. So don't lose faith in them just yet. Okay, go out there, reach out to them and rein them in, because they can surely be the men that you expect them to be. They can even be better than you expect.
Wow. Thank you so much. Guys, please can you just write on the comment section thank you to Aima, because if we have to pay for this, it's going to be a lot expensive. But he has actually told us so many things, and I know that there are so many women that will come back and watch this and also learn from what you said. Please can you just say thank you on the comment section. I appreciate Aima for being here.
Thank you.
If you know that you enjoyed it, appreciate Aima by putting that comment, by saying thank you, and also pressing the like button as well, to just to make sure that he's going to come back and he's going to read all the comments and he's going to see everything. So guys, thank you so much. Honestly, I do appreciate all of you for coming and spending time with us. I cannot say anything, but all I can say is may God bless you.
Thank you
and
guys
keep
for having
your
me.
ministry going and going and going. So guys, see you next Saturday and have a fantastic Sunday evening.
Bye.
Bye guys.